This is Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum.
Well, when you're selling, you got to know who your buyer is and you got to know how to market to them. I do.
And Dan Keller, mortgage expert with New American Funding.
Hey, rates are important, but strategy matters more than ever.
For the next hour, you'll learn impactful insider information as Christian and Dan teach about the ins and outs of Seattle's real estate market. Now, here's Christian and Dan.
Hello, and welcome to Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL 1300 AM. For everybody that's watching the live stream or the YouTube video or on SeattleRealEstateRadio.com, thank you for watching us. Dan will now flex for you again.
I know.
He did that last week. That was pretty funny.
I was giving a shout out to all of our viewers watching us.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So whether you're listening to us in the car, on iHeartRadio, you're watching us on video, you're streaming the podcast, whatever you're doing, we appreciate you listening. We are live every Monday from 3 to 4. Then we are rebroadcasted on Saturdays from 5 to 6. So thank you. Today we're going to have a pretty good show. We're talking about solar energy, which is a pretty big deal here in Seattle.
It's. I think it's something that is. You know what? I didn't even introduce myself. Come on.
Oh,
man.
I didn't introduce myself either.
Co-host Dan Keller, with New Mortgage Loan Officer at New American Funding, and sitting right across from me is Christian Nossum with
the awesome Nossum Group at Wilson Realty.
We just got carried away, man.
I know. I got excited about talking about the show.
This is a big topic, and this is a topic that you and I are pretty innovative in our industries, and I think this is something that when we had a chance to plan out a show, this is something that's relevant. It's something that for the first time in a long time, we're seeing people's home values up. Mm-hmm. Seattle's real big in the whole green, the green market. Yeah. So green energy, and this is relevant. I'm seeing more homes with these little things on their roof and their solar panels. And so, hey, it makes sense, and this is gonna be a good show to
we have a neighbor right across the street from us. They're huge into solar. Yeah. I mean, their whole roof is all solar. They're south-facing slope of their roof, and they have a Tesla. Yep. And they just got a new Volvo there's an SUV that's also electric, which is interesting. So it's kind of cool that, I mean, they're basically living off their solar. Yeah. They don't have to pay for gas because the solar is providing it for their cars. Wow. And it's doing everything inside their house. I mean, they've basically retrofitted everything to go off the solar, which you would think that in Seattle with our cloudy days and stuff, solar wouldn't be a great fit, but it actually is. You don't need bright sun to work.
Exactly. And in talking with these guys prior to the show, I learned a few things like that. So this is going to be a good segment. I think it's something I'm proud of because we're able to be a little bit innovative instead of just talking about mortgage and real estate, which we do, but we're not. The whole purpose of the show is not to focus on what you and I do every single day. We dabble in it. We talk about it. We keep you current with what's happening in it.
I got my Seattle real estate update minute, and you got your mortgage minute, where we kind of keep you in. I mean, we're not radio broadcasters. We just do this once a week for fun, really, and to educate you guys. I'm a real estate agent in Seattle. I'm swamped. I'm busy. I'm in the trenches all day, every day, showing houses, listing houses, selling houses. Dan's in the trenches all day long, helping people get a mortgage or refinancing. Yep. I mean, that's what we really do. This is just kind of a side gig for fun to. Well,
it's an extension of both. It's an extension of both of our businesses, Christian. And if it's your first time listening, if it's your 100th time listening, thank you. But it's important to understand that how you and I both. This is the reason, and when you and I met about 5 or 6 years ago, why our relationship has grown and developed as professionals that work hand in hand with each other. Yep. We view the home ownership process a lot alike. That this little house, this home that you're buying to live in, is the center of this hub, and there's so many spokes attached to this wheel. And so, hey, when we designed this show, that was the whole purpose of the show. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at our logo, and our logo is a circle with the Seattle skyline in the minute. We need to have that redesigned to kind of look like a spoke or a hub. What do you think about that?
I'll talk to Derek. I'll see what I can do about redoing the logo a little bit. But it's a pretty cool logo, though.
That is a pretty darn cool logo. But no, that's the whole idea. So we bring in guests every single week that we add another spoke to that wheel, from financial planners to estate lawyers to our last guest.
Last week we had Jim Friedman from Metropolitan Appliance on, and so I'm in the process of hopefully getting a new fridge, but also redoing our entire kitchen at some point in the next year or two. When, I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty busy, so that's what's holding us back right now. But buying appliances is so confusing. Yeah. It's so confusing. I mean, I don't know. I've looked on Consumer Reports.
It's here's the thing with buying. I mentioned this with our guest Jim. You mentioned it's confusing. I've been there, done that.
I know you've
obviously
already been
we remodeled a house and built a house and had to buy every doggone appliance for 2 floors. And the thing is, Christian, and I know I felt this pain, so I know all of our listeners and all of our homeowners that are listening and buyers, you're going to feel the same pain. Where do I start? And with the internet, the internet's great, but I was just having this funny conversation with my family the other night, and they think that whatever they see on Facebook and Google it's real. It's the gospel.
It's the truth.
Dude, Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders and this and that, you got to understand, that's propaganda that the opposite party is sharing. They're doing that. I mean, and the same thing with reviews and with appliances.
Well, like Jim was saying, a lot of those reviews, it's the similar thing in our industry. A lot of reviews that you see online, especially on Yelp, does a great job of filtering that stuff. It's really hard to game Yelp. It's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, it's hard.
But a lot of the other sites, you can put any review you want, and a lot of companies, and I mean, they'll put fake reviews up there.
To promote a product.
Exactly. That's part of their advertising budget.
Well, and what Jim was saying is come in, understand, and if you don't mind, I want to recap 3 things.
Do it.
So he basically shared with our listeners and with us, hey, if you're going to shop for appliances, which you and I do the same thing with our education workshop, with our home buyer workshops. And when I sit down with a client, if you're going to shop for a mortgage, at least let me help you do it right. Yes, I want to be your mortgage professional, but it's not always about getting the best rate. For you, it's not always about listing your home for the lowest amount of commission. It's doing it right. So Jim was saying, if you're going to shop for an appliance, start with the dimensions in mind, the height, the width, the depth. You brought that up. That was huge. And then the next step is identify the finishes. What do you want that appliance to look like? Excuse me. We're both still nursing these doggone colds.
I know.
And then the third is features. Okay, so he made a great point, and I loved this. He goes, what a lot of people, when they're shopping for dishwashers, they want the quiet dishwasher, but he goes, wouldn't you want a dishwasher that ensured that you had clean spot-free dishes?
Yeah.
Hello?
That should be the number one thing.
That should be the number one concern, right?
Yeah.
But people want a quiet dishwasher. Well, who cares if you have a quiet dishwasher?
If it doesn't actually do the job.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, no, I thought that was great. Jim was a great guest. I think we'll look forward to having him back and talking.
Yeah. So anyone that is thinking about getting new appliances, at least go down and talk with Jim and his crew down at Metropolitan Appliance. They're just south of Safeco Field, 3 blocks south, kitty corner to Krispy Kreme Donuts. Everybody knows where that's at. They're good. And they, even though they're a small company, they, like he was saying, which I thought was pretty cool, they're part of a huge buying group, which actually gets as good, if not better, prices on their appliances than the big box stores that we all assume has better prices. But their buying group does $13 billion in purchases. So they have quite a bit of leverage and pull on how to get a good deal. So even though you're going to a smaller store, meaning not a nationwide store.
Which I actually prefer.
I do too.
Personally,
I
prefer.
I do too, because you get that, and this is what I was just going to say. You get that personal one-on-one, okay, I'm here to help you get what you need, and we're going to get you into something that makes sense for what you want. Yeah. And we're not going to sell you on something that you don't need.
Yeah. Well, and you're going to get that with a local somebody, because he's embedded in the community. Yeah. And it's his shop. So here's the thing. If you're listening right now and you get back home or you have some downtime, hey, go to SeattleRealEstateRadio.com, pick up last week's broadcast and just listen to it. It was a great show. Yep. Jim's a great guy. Highly encourage you to go check that out. But hey, I want to know a little bit more about what's going on in the Seattle real estate markets. What do you got, man?
Welcome to this week's Seattle Real Estate Minute with Christian Nossum.
I love that intro, man. Every time. I love that intro.
Gets you jacked up.
Gets me jacked up. Not really jacked up,
really.
but so we're in the middle of May at this point. the market is still as hot as ever. I feel like a broken record. I'm always here to point out opportunities. And an opportunity that I'm seeing and that I've helped clients with right now is in these crazy markets where there's multiple offers on pretty much everything. One area that isn't having multiple offers is new construction. So a lot of times why is because they're building new townhomes, especially in city. This is mostly what I'm referring to as townhomes. The reason that there's not multiple offers is they're usually building 3, 4, 5, 6 townhomes at a time. They're not going to hold off and look at offers if they have 6 units that they got to sell. They're going to sell all of them as soon as they get an offer. So if you're out looking for homes, a lot of times what you're doing in this market is you're going, okay, well, my max budget is $850. So that's what I can afford, the very, very high end. I got to really look around the $650 to $750 price range because I know the price is going to go up about $100,000. The difference is with new construction, sometimes you can actually get in at their listing price, at their asking price. So whether that's $500, $600, $700, $800, you can actually get in at the price that they're actually asking for, which seems weird and kind of counterintuitive, but in this market, that's the way it is. So it's actually a little opportunity.
Yeah, you bring that up, and I just thinking about mortgages and pre-approvals that I have out there. You're right. Like new construction, I'm not seeing clients coming back to me going, "Oh, we lost out on our bid on this new home." Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So it took me a little bit of time to figure that out.
Yeah.
I feel a little dumb that I didn't figure that out right away.
Insight,
but it's true. And now that I figured it out, why get a house that needs a bunch of work that's going to go up $100,000 in value, or not in value, but the price is going to go up $100,000 and you're going to have to waive every single contingency.
Yeah.
Why do that when you could just buy brand new?
If you're listening and you get a chance, contact us on our website. Let us know if you would see value in us having a builder on. We've been toying around with that, getting a couple of builders come on and talk new construction. But let us know if that's something you might be interested in.
You can always email us at info@seattlerealestateradio.com, or Dan has an email there as well. I have my email, christian@realestateradio.com or seattlerealestateradio.com. But we got to take a quick break. We're going to be back on next with Seattle Natural Energy to talk about solar energy. So stay tuned.
We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Hey, welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio on KKOL 1300 Business Radio. We are, just a quick reminder, we're here every single Monday from 3 to 4. We're here on, they're replaying our broadcasts now on Saturdays. So if you missed it,
5 to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
every Saturday.
And then if you want to, you can listen to us streaming live on iHeartRadio.
Yep.
You can go to seattlerealestateradio.com and watch any previous video, podcast, all that stuff. So we're everywhere.
Yeah, and it's more important than ever with the guests that we're getting, the high-quality guests that we're getting. I encourage all of our listeners, just jump on over to Seattle Real Estate Radio.
Yeah.
Look at the archive guests, archive interviews. It's pretty. There's
some gold
phenomenal,
in those,
tons of gold.
In those previous interviews that we've had. There's a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. Well, speaking of gold, today we've got the gold in the sky. This is. I don't even know. This is going to be
an amazing segue. That's the best segue you've ever had in the show's history.
I don't know. I told Keith before he came on, I'm so excited about today's show because I know it's intriguing to me because I know absolutely nothing about it but want to know. Yeah. So I'm a student over here today.
All right. So now that we've teed him up, I'm going to give him a little bio and explain who the heck Keith is. So today we welcome West Seattle natural energy owner and designer Keith Hughes. Keith and his family have been an active part of the West Seattle community for the past 36 years. After 15 years with Boeing in facilities and construction project management, Keith spent a decade working as a computer system architect at Swedish. So he has a pretty good, vast array of knowledge right there. He started West Seattle Natural Energy with his family in 2008. Great time to start a...
terrific time.
Terrific time. We were all in the business at that point. And wow. But obviously you've done well because it's still thriving.
Still going.
a company that's dedicated to the design and installation of renewable energy systems, including solar PV and small wind energy systems. Keith is a well-known renewable energy speaker for public audiences, technical students, and several architectural and engineering firms, including Northwest Seed Workshops, and has taught renewable energy classes at Shoreline College. So,
welcome, Keith.
Kind of a big deal to have him in studio because he's a renowned expert on this subject. So, first off, Keith, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate your time and for sharing your knowledge with our listeners and our guests, or our studio audience, as well as everybody on the air. So first off, give us and give our listeners a basic description of what just renewable energy in general is.
Renewable energy covers a fairly wide spectrum.
Yeah.
We in the industry like to think that it's just the solar industry, but it's really not. Renewable has a definition. It has a context. Seattle City Light says they're the most renewable power company in the nation. That's because they get their electricity from hydroelectric dams.
So that's how they can say
that's a renewable energy source. It rains, it puts more water in the rivers,
That's
it
funny.
runs through their dams, they get more electricity.
Yep.
When we talk about renewable energy, we're talking about solar energy, wind energy, and then a couple of smaller pieces. There's biomass generators out there, that sort of thing. That's also something that you're not taking away from the environment.
Yeah.
You're using a resource that will continually be there and continually refresh itself.
Is geothermal something like that too? Is that even a thing out here though?
Geothermal is part of the renewable energy industry, and it is a very viable alternative to standard heating systems. Geothermal, again, it is a renewable energy source.
Yeah, so that's part of that as well.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So let's talk solar. In Seattle, a lot of people, whenever I'm showing a house and it has solar on it, they go, why the hell would they put solar? This is Seattle. It's always cloudy. They can't work here. So let's debunk that myth right now. Why don't you do that for us, Keith?
Urban myth number 1. And I address this in all the seminars that I do,
sure,
home shows and real estate offices and everywhere, is that very question.
Yeah.
You know, will it work here? Does it really work? Is it really worth it?
Yep.
The answer to all those is yes. So one of the scientific level things that you have to get down to when you're talking about solar and solar energy is that the principle of photovoltaic electricity is based on UV radiation.
Okay.
So it's not just ambient light. It actually has to be direct sunlight, and it's the UV radiation spectrum that actually creates the electricity. Well, any one of us, especially in the Northwest, who've had the unpleasant experience of going to the beach on a cloudy day.
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
Don't take our suntan lotion because it's a cloudy day, and we come home with a nasty sunburn.
Yeah.
That's UV radiation.
That's this pasty white Norwegian guy right here.
It works on a cloudy day because UV radiation penetrates the clouds, and it still makes electricity.
Got it. So my pasty white, very easily sunburnt skin is a perfect solar panel conductor, basically, is what you're telling me.
Yes. If you could put a whole bunch of little wires on your cheeks, you could make electricity.
Well, let's not do that though. I'd rather just buy a panel and put it on my roof. So it does work in Seattle, is basically what you're saying.
It does work
very well. It doesn't need direct sunlight with a clear sky. It works regardless of if there's clouds or not.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So now that we got that one debunked, what's another kind of basic myth that people have? Are there any others that? I mean, that's the biggest one I can think of, but
it's the biggest one out there, and then the other ones are, I guess, urban myth number 2 is you have to have batteries. 25 years ago, yes, you had to have batteries, but in the last 25 years, those solar has come a long ways. The real new technology out there in our world has been the inverter technology. So solar panels make DC power.
Okay.
We don't use DC power very much. We use AC power. So in our homes, you've got to take that DC and make it into AC. That's called an inverter.
Okay.
That's where the big technology change has been, is in the inverters. And with the new inverters, they will invert that power directly to match the grid to 240 volts, 60 hertz power.
Perfect.
So you don't have to go through a battery bank anymore to accomplish that goal. So no more having to mess with batteries and have acid in your garage and that sort of thing. It's all direct grid tied, direct access.
So explain to me real quick, and I apologize if this is a silly question.
It's super silly. I'm gonna laugh.
Well, but here's the thing: the solar panel. So I'm on your website right now. This is a phenomenal website, by the way, in regards to
what is the website?
It's West Seattle Natural Energy.com, and I actually clicked on the facts. He's got 5 interesting facts on solar energy, which is pretty neat. But so if I have a house with solar panels on it, I'm not taking direct energy from the panels and electrifying, if you will, or using that energy right now on the spot in my house. That energy is going somewhere else. Am I right? Or am I using that energy to turn on my appliances?
You are using that energy directly. Yes, it's going through an inverter to make it compatible with your house.
Okay.
But the end result of a solar system on your roof is a breaker in your breaker panel. So we're taking the energy off the solar panels, collecting that, running it through an inverter process to make it match the grid, and putting that directly into a breaker in your in your breaker panel. So it is going directly to use.
Okay, it is. So then at night, silly question, dark at night, how do I get energy at night? Does it store? Does it store up?
What we do here, when you're in town, if you're out in the middle of nowhere where there is no electricity available, it's a different type of thing called off-grid.
Okay.
But in the normal situation we have, you're making energy when the sun is shining.
Okay.
Most of us are not home during the day.
Exactly.
The sun is shining during the day. So what's happening is your system's making that electricity. It's going into your electrical system. You're not using it at that moment. So what's happening is it's passing right through your breaker panel. It's going back out through your meter, which is turning your meter backwards.
Got it.
Which is putting credit on your electric bill.
Okay, so that's where I'm getting at with these questions.
That's where you're getting
That's what I've heard from, talking to people about solar energy, that somehow it went into a bank and you got credit for it. And so I'm trying to put this together. Okay, got it.
So that's happening on the grid, on the wires out there. You're putting it into the wires. That becomes your storage bank all day, and you're using it up at night. You're using up your credits at night.
Got it. Very
That's awesome.
good. Yeah.
That's really neat. So you're basically selling power to the whatever utility company.
Kind of, yeah. That's another thing on my list of urban myths.
Yeah.
And I don't even know, nobody seems in our industry seems to know where it came from.
People like me probably.
Yeah, it seems that everybody that walks up to my home shoe booth has got this statement about, and I heard if you're making more power than you're using, you're selling it back to the electric company. No, you're getting credit for it.
Yeah.
And we make that distinction because if you were selling it, you would be a utility, and now you would have to register with the state and pay taxes.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
And we don't want to do that.
No.
We're going to call it credit.
Yeah. All right. So, big question. What does it cost to install solar panels and maintain them? That's a huge question. We got a couple minutes to go over it, and we can always go into it more if we need to.
It's a huge question, and it'll probably take a little longer than you think. But because to me, that is equivalent to walking up to a dealer and saying, "What does a car cost?"
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, because do
depends.
you want a Kia or do you want a Mercedes-Benz?
Yeah.
Solar panels don't have that wide a variety, but the thing that determines the cost when we design a solar system, we design it based on your actual electrical use.
Got it.
So if you can tell me what your average daily electrical use is, I can tell you what a solar system will cost you. And that's different for everybody. Because everybody's use is different.
Exactly. So can I look that up somehow so that I can tell you what that is?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
It's on your electric bill, whether you're Puget Sound Energy or Seattle City Light or any of the others in this state. Wow. Everybody's electric bill has got a little block on it somewhere with a little bar graph.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Yep.
And beside that is telling you what your use is. And then beside that, there's a little statement that says your average daily use.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And with that number, then I can tell you if you want to generate 100% of all the electricity you're currently using, I can tell you, within 1 or 2%, what a system will cost you to offset your total electrical use.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
This is great info. We're going to hit on this when we come back, but what I really want to know, I have to believe that the energy companies are behind solar. They've got to be. Yeah, no?
They are to a certain extent. Yeah. There's a lot of politics involved, as with anything. Yeah. But yeah, they do promote it. They do back it. They don't fight us openly. Yeah. But let's face it, to some people out there, we're the competition.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to hit on that when we get back. So,
all right, so stay tuned. We're going to have more from Keith Hughes from West Seattle Natural Energy after the break.
We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Hello, and welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL 1300 AM. We are back with Keith Hughes from West Seattle Natural Energy, and he is educating us all about solar. And it's a big deal. And it's not, we were just talking during the break, it's not who you think is buying it.
Yeah. No, we should have had the mics rolling during the break, because that was a really good conversation.
That was a great conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's just I just wrote down a couple of our talking points over the break, but let's jump into that. So, my general, just thinking about solar prior to having you on today, maybe my myth around solar was that it was for the affluent. It was very expensive, and that only people that had a lot of money could afford to convert their energy system to solar.
Yeah.
Tell our listeners what you told us over the break, because it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Solar, the price of solar has come way, way down.
Yeah.
That's one thing to just remind people of. If you looked at solar a number of years ago, look again.
Mm-hmm. So even like 5-10 years ago?
Yeah, 5 years ago, our company's normal pricing for a solar system today is half of what it was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Okay, so huge difference in what solar costs. So it's not...
So the next question, real quick, to piggyback, do you see that decreasing in half again over the next 5 years, or is it kind of at the point where it's going to pretty much stabilize?
The solar industry was kind of a niche industry.
Yeah.
And so it did kind of cater to the upper echelon.
Yep.
But when the Chinese jumped into the market and flooded the market, that forced all the fat out of the system.
Nice.
So companies in the U.S. that wanted to stay in business had to get real.
Yep.
Had to get their act together and get their costs down, and they did that. And those that did it well are still in business, and the others are gone.
Yeah.
So it's a good, solid industry now. However, just with normal inflation and things of life, what I'm seeing starting about 6 months ago is the prices are starting to creep up a little bit. Not hugely, but the movement in the last 6 months has been an upward movement. And I see that kind of continuing because the price of the base materials that solar panels are made out of is going to go up. Things like aluminum and copper.
Yep. Well, copper especially
that's going up.
Yeah.
So panel prices are going up a little bit.
Okay. So it's kind of bottomed out price-wise.
Yeah, it has bottomed out.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Well, you mentioned over the break, too, what is your, I don't want to say your average, but what is your most common demographic right now that's converting and using solar?
Our typical client, if we had one, is couples in their homes that have been there a number of years that are within 5 years of retirement.
And that just blew my mind.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me, because I would not think that someone that's going into retirement would think about doing that or would even want to do that. But it also makes sense, and explain why.
And it even comes back to me. That's when I started thinking about solar systems, because when you're get about 60 years old, the future of retirement is in front of you. You're realizing it
right there.
And you're saying, to yourself and your spouse, look, in 5 years, I'm going to retire and our income is going to be, half of what it is now.
Exactly.
How do we get our expenses down so we can stay in our house and maintain roughly the same lifestyle we have now with less income?
Yeah.
And so getting your monthly expenses down
Fixed.
is critical.
Yeah, down and fixed.
Yes,
So
and
you're not going to have to worry about
if you can stabilize it,
unknown.
it's great. So that's why an awful lot of people in their early 60s are buying that brand new car that's going to last for 10 years.
Exactly.
And this is another one of those things. You can fix your electric costs basically for the rest of your life by buying a solar system now, because you're prepaying your electric bill for a system. These systems are guaranteed for 25 and 30 years.
Yeah. Wow.
So
I didn't know that part either.
Pay for it now, no more electric bills for the next 30 years.
Wow.
So I'm going to put Keith on the spot. What kind of car do you drive, Keith?
Chevy Volt,
Oh.
plug-in hybrid.
Nice.
So this guy is all about.
He's preaching.
He's practicing what he preaches. I love it, man. That's awesome.
And my head electrician drives a Nissan Leaf, and my two salesmen both drive electric cars, plug-in electric cars.
Okay.
Nice.
This guy speaks electric.
Yeah.
He lives electric. That's it.
Yeah.
So
I got a few clients that have electric cars, so I'm gonna have to turn them into talking to you about getting their house, renovating their houses to have.
Well, I think this is going to open up a lot of people's minds and their eyes to maybe taking a look at solar, where I had no idea. That's what caught me off guard over the break, where that your average demographic that's using solar, it's because they want a fixed budget. Well, I have a lot of clients. You and I both have a lot of very conservative clients that not necessarily want a deal, but they run their lives by a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So what if you could control? What if we could introduce you to them and say, hey, I know you're conservative. I know that you like to be down to the penny every single month. What's coming in and what's going out.
Yep.
Here's a great option for you to look at.
Yeah. So that's huge. I didn't realize solar was like that.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things that we were talking about that was kind of intriguing, I would have thought that the government and energy companies would be 100% behind solar just because it's clean, it's renewable.
Yeah.
Elaborate on what you told me over the break. You would think.
We're in a period of a little bit of controversy over the solar industry. In general, yes, the electric industry supports the solar industry. Puget Sound Energy, Seattle City Light, both put out a lot of information to their customers, and they support the industry.
Maybe on the face of things
on the big picture.
Yeah.
But there is some underlying current, and there's been some publicity about some other states that have had some real issues with the solar industry. And the problem is that if, say 20% of all the homes in Seattle put in solar systems, so they were basically not paying electric bill anymore. That's a hit on the maintenance system. So not only does the company have to make some money to buy that electricity from Bonneville Power Administration so they can pass it to you, they've got to maintain the infrastructure. And as we all know, if you don't keep up on maintenance, that bill can kill you in the end. So there's, if we were all using solar, we are not, and the other people in my industry, other companies hate me for saying it, but I agree with the utility companies that we need to be paying our fair share of the infrastructure costs. So
if
when
we're
we resolve
it
that
makes sense.
little piece of the puzzle, then I think we'll really have 100% backing from the electric companies.
So what you're saying is typically when we go and we fill our gas tank, part of that $2.50 a gallon is a road maintenance tax.
Yes.
So by not using gas, you're kind of dodging that
Your
tax, or you're
electric
taking
car
away. Yeah.
Yeah, my electric car, I spend about $25 a month on gas. So I'm not paying very much in gas taxes. I'm not doing my fair share to continue with road maintenance, and that's frankly a problem that needs to be solved.
Yeah, but the great thing is you acknowledge it, but then you say, hey, so when it comes to renewing my tabs, I'm open to paying an additional tax because you support roads being maintained and not having to drive through potholes in your Volt. Because then you got to replace a tire, gas, whatever. So no, this is great, great info. I want to ask you this: are there incentives from the electrical companies to convert to solar? I would think there would be.
There are incentives out there to help you make a good financial decision with going with solar. Okay. They're not electric company incentives. Okay. So the primary incentive is the federal income tax credit.
Okay.
which is 30% of your total contract. So that's labor and material.
Okay.
You get 30% of that back as an income tax credit. Now, this is not a reduction of your income. It's not a deduction. It's an actual credit. So if you owe Uncle Sam $5,000, but you bought a solar system and you've got $6,000 worth of credit, you owe nothing.
Okay.
And next year you have $1,000 of credit still because that credit never goes away. Once it's a credit on your account, it stays there until you use it up.
Okay.
And then there's a state rebate.
Okay.
So you have two levels. There's a state level rebate that the state of Washington instituted a number of years ago, about 6 years ago, to help people with the cost of solar systems as well and encourage the use. And that incentive is based on the production of your system. So you get paid for the number of kilowatt hours that you produce. So even though you use the kilowatt hours you produce, you get paid for them anyway.
Okay.
So you're really getting paid twice. You're saving that money on your electric bill, and you're getting paid for it by the state.
Got it. Okay, that's huge. Federal and state incentives, so that's big. We got about 2 minutes left with you, Keith. I think it's important to understand, give our listeners kind of an average ballpark idea. If you were to convert your home to solar, what does your average customer pay from, estimating it out to install everything?
Our average system cost is about $25,000. Okay. It would be a real close average. And if you look at the average home in Seattle City Light says the average home is using about 30 kilowatt hours a day of electricity, and a $25,000 system will produce about 80% of that. So you're reducing your electric bill by about 80%.
Okay.
The other question we get a lot is, what do I have to spend in order to have no electric bill?
Yeah.
Well, the state incentive is roughly equal to what you're paying for electricity. So if you're saving 12 cents on your electric bill and the state's paying you 12 cents, if you put in a system that makes 50% of your electricity,
there you go.
The incentive pays the other 50%, you have no electric bill.
Wow.
Got it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Wow.
So about 25 grand to get it installed, and then you're essentially getting free electricity, essentially, right?
For the next 30 or 40 years, yes.
And the way that you guys operate at West Seattle Natural Energy, you guys guarantee some stuff. So
yes, the entire system is guaranteed. The hardware is all guaranteed for 25 years.
Wow.
We have some premium panels that are actually guaranteed for 30 years.
Wow.
So, and then, and we use all American products. The companies we get our products from guarantee their products, and even to the point that if something goes wrong with a piece of your system, it's still not going to cost you anything, because I'm going to come out and replace the bad parts, and the manufacturer is going to pay me for my time for having to do that.
Wow.
So for 25 years, you're getting free electricity, and you're not paying for anything that goes wrong.
No maintenance at all.
Just keeping them clean.
Wow.
They are window glass. You must keep them
clean
clean so the sun will shine through.
Makes sense.
Well, we got to let you go. You got to get back to work. You're running a big business. When we come back, though, we're going to actually talk a little bit more about Keith and what they're up to. This was just phenomenal. So.
Yeah. We're gonna give some more contact info and read a little bit more about you guys in the next segment. So stay tuned for more about West Seattle Natural Energy after the break. This is Seattle Real Estate Radio.
We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Hello, and welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL 1300 AM. Man, that was awesome. So, Keith Hughes, West Seattle Natural Energy, talking about solar power.
It's tough on these segments because they're, we've got 10 to 12 minutes to really dig deep. And so a lot of the time, some really good conversations come in between the break and what we were just talking about.
Traffic and weather.
And we prepare. Obviously Shannon, our producer, does a great job preparing for these. And gosh, we had 6 questions we didn't even get to.
I know.
So real quickly, let's go over a couple of them that I wanted to get to. We both wanted to get to, but we just weren't able to. So if you're listening, and you're thinking about, hey, this might be a good idea. I'd like to learn more about it. But let's say you live in Bellingham, or let's say you live in Lake Stevens or Olympia. Does he just work in West Seattle or the East Side? No. So they're a small company. They're local. They're small. And in doing so, and they're growing, they're wanting to grow.
Yep.
He said they've done jobs from Vancouver, Washington, so South Washington.
Portland, basically.
Yeah, Portland, all the way up to Bellingham.
And
so
they go to the San Juans, and he was telling us how they have different panels for different environments.
Yep.
So
if you're on the water in the San Juans versus
you got saltwater issues, or if you're in the mountains and you got snowpack issues, they got different ones for that.
Yep.
So again, he's an expert in that field, and he'll tell you exactly what you need.
Yep.
And he was. I love the fact that they kind of guarantee everything.
They stand by their stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, just every single one of our guests do that, just like you and I do.
Yeah.
But
that's
it was really neat. The other question that you and I had for him was, are there any places that you just could not that he just wouldn't be able to install solar, or you just wouldn't be a candidate? And he basically said no. He goes, you gotta have access to light.
Yeah.
So if you live, in a heavily treed, wooded area.
Yep.
The really great thing is, even if you do live in a heavily wooded area, they do a pre-consult, and then when they come out, they have this computer system that they place on the house, and it actually tells you which trees you may need to trim or cut down or remove in order to have a percent efficiency.
Wow.
And he said he'd like to see a 75% light efficiency in order to install their product. So, if you were to click, we're going to eliminate that tree and that tree, and you're only up to 65% efficiency, then you go and pop another one. So at the end of that report, it will actually tell you that you can give to, and I'm sure he can recommend a lumberjack, but or a tree clearing service, but will tell you the number of trees and the trees to remove.
Wow.
So I thought that was pretty cool. So
they really know their stuff there.
Yeah, and the one last thing, I know you brought this up, was let's say we do this. How hard is it to maintain?
Yeah, that's always my big thing. It's like, cool, I love being better for the environment and kind of fix my income, or not fix my income, but fix my costs and know what things are going to do to save money. But what's it going to cost every year to maintain this thing? And he's like, there's really no maintenance. You just got to take your hose and hose them off.
Yeah, he says
make sure there's nothing covering it.
He said to hose it off twice a year.
Yeah,
and he said, and if you're in an area that gets a lot of pollen or a lot of dust, maybe hire and he's partnered with a window cleaning service, $75.
Yeah.
To climb up on the roof, and to be honest with you, I'd rather pay $75 than to me climb up on the roof with a hose. Period.
All day,
dude. Here's $25 tip.
Yeah, exactly.
While you're at it. So, dude, it was just great interview. Why don't you give our listeners some more information on how to contact
West
them?
Seattle Natural Energy is dedicated to bringing the best in solar and wind solution systems for pollution-free and reliable energy from dependable renewable resources for your home or business. By anticipating common installation issues and fully educating their customers, much like we do, West Seattle Natural Energy guarantees jobs have no frustrations, no bait and switch, no financial surprises. Like Dan was saying, they'll come out, they'll do a free pre-consult, they'll tell you exactly what it's going to take, and that's what it is. It's not going to be, actually, now that we're up here, it's going to be another $30,000 or something stupid like that. He said on average it's about $25,000 to install it, but then you're saving money at that point.
Yeah.
You can visit westseattlenaturalenergy.com. That's westseattlenaturalenergy.com. Or you can call them at 206-459-8442. That's 206-459-8442 to schedule your free site survey and start drastically reducing your energy bills today.
Well, and all of their information is going to be on Seattle Real Estate Radio as well.
Yep. So if you're listening to this on a podcast or whatever, just switch over to seattlerealestateradio.com.
Yep.
Look for this show. This is mid-June. We are June, what is the date? 16th today.
Mid-May.
Mid-May, sorry. May 16th, mid-June. Yeah, that makes sense. Way to go, Christian.
60 degrees in June.
I wish it was right like that right now.
No, I mean, this is a phenomenal resource here. And he debunked a few myths. I'd encourage you to go to their website, too, and click on the 5 interesting facts. The 5 interesting facts or myths regarding solar energy. So he was a great resource. One of the things I kind of want to, use this as a prelude to my Mortgage Minute. So not quite doing the Mortgage Minute yet, but as a prelude, I know I've mentioned on shows before, right now, a lot of people are refinancing their homes with me, and they're pulling cash out to do home improvements. And this is kind of an idea that I just talked with Keith about. What if, and because I'm a numbers guy, and I'm like, okay, cost benefit. Let's talk about cost benefit. So it costs $25,000 for a solar system, correct? So what if you were to do a cash out refinance of $25,000, which, think about this, every $10,000 you finance, it affects your mortgage payment by about $42 a month. Let's just round up. It's $90 a month difference. Well, if you save your energy bill of, let's say, $300 or whatever your energy bill is a month, it's a wash. You're actually even saving money by pulling cash out of your home, installing solar. So, I mean, this is something.
And then you got your energy bill fixed. You know exactly what it's going to be for 30 years.
Yeah. This is going to be, I'm telling you right now, this is going to play now into every mortgage planning session I have with refinance clients from here moving forward. It's just, I'm going to throw it out on the table, take it for what it's worth.
And before an hour ago, when we sat down in the studio, we had no clue.
No clue.
So that's a big deal. All right. So, Dan, it is time for your Mortgage Minute.
Welcome to this week's Mortgage Minute with Dan Keller.
Tell me your name and give me your MLO number, Dan.
I love it. Compliant loan officer. Hey, my name is Dan Keller, co-host of Seattle Real Estate Radio, and every single week I host a segment referred to as my Mortgage Minute. And in doing so, I need to give you my MLO number so that you know I'm legit. My MLO license number is 115349. But, you know, the purpose of this Mortgage Minute every single week is to kind of keep you in tune with the market, keep you up to speed. But I'm going to take a step back today. I mean, the markets are pretty much sideways right now, which is good. We're seeing historically low 30-year fixed rates like we have for the past couple months. I think we're going to see the trends stay where they're at right now. Unless something spectacular happens with jobs or employment, which we don't see it happen, or in the economy, or negatively if something adverse were to happen, like a earthquake or a tsunami, which let's just not even hope for that or even talk about that. Those are market movers right now. Nothing else is really jumping out. But what I do want to bring up is I just got back from Wyoming.
Yeah, dude, I was going to ask you about that. I totally forgot.
We should have talked about it in the intro. But I got asked by the Wyoming Mortgage Bankers Association to be a keynote at their annual event. So
not only is Dan just a local Seattle area mortgage lender, mortgage advisor, this guy, and this is why I love being on the radio with him, he's nationally recognized. He's interviewed by the Washington Post regularly. Wyoming Association of Mortgage Bankers. Is that
Mortgage
right?
Bankers, MBA. Yeah, Mortgage Bankers Association. Yeah,
they flew him out there, all expenses paid, gave him a nice speaking bonus, and he does this all the time. I mean, just last summer you were down in California doing the same thing in Palm Springs.
I just got invited to speak again in this coming October.
Nice.
At Sales Mastery, so we'll be back there again.
So he's kind of a big deal, and you guys should really pay attention to him because he really does know his stuff.
I appreciate that, and I mean, the thing is, it's an honor to be able to go into our industry in other parts of the country and talk. But hey, I just got back from Wyoming talking about kind of the markets, but specifically because in Seattle we are heavily millennial based, which I commend them for doing this in Wyoming. They're not as techy and their market's not on fire like ours, but I got to go in and talk about how we're really serving and educating millennials as it relates to mortgages and real estate. And it was a phenomenal opportunity and got to talk about that. So that's my Mortgage Minute. It was just kind of more of Wyoming is a beautiful place, by the way. That's what I was going to say.
I've never been there.
Beautiful. Great. Yeah, if you like the outdoors, great place to visit.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for everybody for watching, for tuning in and listening online, iHeartRadio or on the radio. We appreciate you. We will be back next Monday, 3 to 4 p.m., Seattle Real Estate Radio.
To contact the show or for more information, visit SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. That's SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. And be sure to tune in again next Monday at 3 for more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller, right here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.